Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Hey, we're coming here with a Nerd podcast. Who knew we'd do another? But you knew we were going to do another one because we've always done another one. That's what we do around here. Anyway, guys, be sure to refer the show to your friends, neighbors, and relatives. Have you reached out to your loved ones and said, be part of the Chris Voss Show family, the family that loves you and doesn't judge you? Knock on their doors on Saturday morning, just like the Mormons, and say, hey, have you heard about our Lord and Savior, Chris Voss Show? I'm just kidding. Don't do that. That you probably get shot, especially in some of the neighborhoods I'm sure most of you live in. Anyway, guys, I was rude to say about my audience. Wow. I don't know. Maybe you live in highfalutin neighborhoods and they just have guns. You never can tell these days. Anyway, guys, go to youtube.com/Chris Voss. Hit the bell notification button. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Also go to all of our groups: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all those crazy places the kids play at these days. Also, subscribe to the LinkedIn newsletter. This goes out daily, and it's crazy how popular that thing is on YouTube, and the 132,000 member group on LinkedIn as well. You just find it in the Chris Voss Show or my book Beacons of Leadership. Anyway, guys, we have an amazing author on the show. He's a multi-book author. In fact, I believe this one's in a series. We'll find out here in a second. He has a book that's coming out on 2/22. That would be February, by the way, for those of you who can't count. The book is called No Second Chances, a novel by Rio Ewers. He's on the show with us today. He's going to be telling us about his amazing book. And he is the critically acclaimed author of Lola on Fire, Westlake Soul, and Halcyon. His 2017 thriller, The Forgotten Girl, was the finalist for the Arthur Ellis Award for the Best Crime Novel. He is a writer of Sleeping Beauties, a comic book series based on the best-selling novel by Stephen King and Owen King. Rio lives in Ontario, Canada. Canada. I was setting up the A joke, pulling off the boot in the A, and I blew the Canada. How did I do that? With his wife and their 2 children. Welcome to the show, Rio. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Chris. It's great to be here.
There you go, And my apologies to my Canadian crowd. We did not mean to offend Canada.
So, no, that is not good.
What's funny is a friend of mine was who's a Canadian, but he's stateside here. He was talking about Canadian insurance. His girlfriend went skiing. He broke his arm, and so he posted the difference in cost for when his son broke his arm in U.S. and Canada, and he was talking about it and so I posted the video of Rush of Geddy Lee and the 2 guys from the Great White North, if you remember that. I'm a child of the 80s. So
right, that's right.
So we were talking about and he was complaining about how after leaving Canada, his girlfriend is pissed at him because he says A all the time now, which I think is awesome. So anyway, back to now that we've got the Canada platform reestablished, give us your plug so people can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Rio Ewers. I'm really only in 2 places. That's kind of where I hang out. First one being Twitter, Rio_Ewers. You can find me there. Honestly, it's been a lot of book plugging recently and not really anything else. But that's what you got to do, right? You got to put in the work. Yeah. And I'm over on Instagram as well. Just look me up, Rio Ewers, and I'm the only one around. So you're not going to have any trouble finding me.
There you go. So give us the foundation of what motivated you want to write this book.
Well, really, I mean, who isn't interested in celebrity? Who isn't interested in Hollywood and Hollywood parties and what the Hollywood elite get up to and the good and the not so good. So that was always kind of wanting to sort of explore that in a novel was always at the back of my mind. I guess I had with No Second Chances, the characters actually came first. There was always this desire to write a novel set in Hollywood. But while I was working on Lola on Fire, which was the novel that preceded No Second Chances, I had these 2 characters pop into my head. And one was turned out to be Luke Kingsley, who's this, washed up actor, canceled, has obviously done something wrong. And, he's fallen from grace and he's trying to get his career back on track. And the other character turned out to be Kitty Ray, who's this young woman who's arrived in Los Angeles with her eye on the stars. I didn't know much more than that about them, and I just let them hang out there, and I'd sort of touch base with them every now and again, hoping that there was a story that they would sort of stumble into. And then when I finished Lola on Fire, I started to explore, Luke and Kitty a little bit more fully. And then another character by the name of Johann Fly, who's No Second Chances. He's the antagonist of that. So he's the bad guy. And when he entered the scene, I knew that was when the chemistry started to happen between these three characters. And the story spun out of there. And then I sort of linked it to this desire to sort of set a book in Hollywood with, I'll be honest with you, I wrote this book during, the thick of COVID-19, and being able to escape every day to a place with sunshine and palm trees wasn't such a bad thing. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
It came along at a good time, and I had a great time with it. I had a great time with those characters, especially Johann. He is one crazy dude.
So what sort of a category is the book in? And you've written a lot of different books. Is it part of your other books or series or characters, or is this the standalone?
No, I started out really in publishing. I started out as a horror writer. I wrote, short stories and novels with small presses. But as I branched into the major leagues, the big presses, I favored more straight thrillers. Mm-hmm. So this is, well, to be fair, my first two novels, which were with Macmillan, with a major New York publisher, were, I would call them supernatural thrillers. Mm-hmm. So they weren't horror as such, but they were thrillers with that sort of, supernatural thread running through them. It wasn't too over the top. It was just kind of there under the surface. Mm-hmm. And then with Lola on Fire, which was my first novel with HarperCollins, that was straight balls to the wall action, Hollywood style cinematic thriller. I just basically wanted to take the formula that works so well in movies like Kill Bill and John Wick and see if I could do that in book form. And I think I pulled it off, actually, which was, no mean feat. And so this follows on from that. It's not part of a series. No Second Chances isn't related, although it is in the same universe, because I drop a few little Easter eggs. But you certainly don't have to read Lola on Fire first to enjoy No Second Chances. They're not really related in any way other than that, same author. That's about it.
Awesome sauce.
So yeah, straight action thriller. If your jam is like Quentin Tarantino movies, mm-hmm. then look no further. This is it's in that sort of Elmore Leonard, Quentin Tarantino. It's got that vibe going on.
Wow. Yeah, I love Quentin Tarantino movies. They're usually always awesome. I think there's been one or two bombs. But I usually always love his movies. He's such a great thing. Would you say it's kind of it takes place in Hollywood? Is it kind of like what was that Once Upon a Time in America, I think was his recent movie? Is it kind of gets into the Hollywood Hills or the Hollywood scene?
Oh yeah, it definitely gets into the Hollywood scene with Luke. He's this like I said, a disgraced actor. In fact, when I was putting some notes together for the book, I realized, I sort of arrived at the conclusion that Luke had been defamed because his wife, who's a famous soul singer, went missing mysteriously. Mm-hmm. And they had a very tumultuous, very public relationship. So naturally, everybody believes Luke killed his wife. Mm-hmm. And they couldn't find the body, so he's essentially got away with murder. So therefore his career hit the trash can pretty hard. I remember watching Once Upon a Time in America, and the character that Brad Pitt plays, Cliff Booth, who's Rick Dalton's stunt double, he actually is also accused of killing his wife, and I thought that was quite, it was, I was thinking along those same lines. Obviously, Quentin got there before me, but I didn't steal it. I promise. Hey, I think that's a great idea. That's what I need.
Everyone's written Hollywood noir, so there's always
exactly.
There's always
someone's got to have killed someone somewhere. So
I don't think that's ever going to end until Hollywood, I don't know, falls into the sea or something. And even then, they'll probably still
Yeah,
write about it underwater.
right,
Um,
right.
so there you go. What are some other teasers we can tease out about the book? Maybe plot twists or something teasable that people can go, ooh, that sounds like something I should check in on.
Yeah, well, Johann Fly, he's our antagonist. He's a 28-year-old YouTuber,
Mm.
social media sensation. So he appears, really quite, he's a son of a Danish billionaire. So he appears really quite squeaky clean on the outside, and everybody kind of loves him. But obviously, he's hiding really quite a fierce darkness.
Mm.
And he's like I said, son of a Danish billionaire, but he truly feels a connection to his Viking ancestry. So he models himself after the Vikings. He fancies himself to be like a modern Viking. So he's got the long blonde hair and the tattoos and the braided beard, and he carries a replica Viking axe around with him.
Oh,
So
yeah.
and he gets up to some mischief with that axe. So there's a pretty good. It's not many. You know what? There are a lot of sort of contemporary thrillers set in Hollywood. There are a lot of contemporary thrillers, obviously, with murder and intrigue and mystery and car chases and everything else. And mine does have a car chase in it as well. But there aren't. Got to have a car chase. I remember this piece of writing advice I heard once: never put a car chase in your novel because you just won't be able to pull it off. I put 2 in the next novel I wrote.
That'll show them.
Don't tell me to not put a car chase in my books.
Car chases are awesome, man.
I know they were awesome anyway. So anyway, there's a car chase in this one. But yeah, so you got these thrillers. They got a little bit of everything going on. But you don't see many Vikings in modern day thrillers. So
are they real Vikings?
Well, he really believes he is. So,
okay.
There
you go. I mean, Danish. He's going full Viking.
He's a bit of a crazy dude, and with Vikings come some pretty vicious Viking ceremonies.
This is all plausible too, because I've lived in California and LA.
Right.
And I've been to all the parties where everybody stands around and goes, yeah, I was on a set today with Steven Spielberg and blah blah blah, and you're like, yeah, you saw them from the extra table, buddy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You were all roped off. You saw them probably in the distance there with your binoculars from your extra booth. But yeah, everyone stands around and they're working on a script or they're working on, it's a whole scene down there. And what's funny is if you're not an actor, when you go to those things, you don't have any sort of BS sort of pitch. They always go around the circle, I'm an actor. I was working on this project for, it's always some big project. It's never like I'm working on some theater thing that no one's going to see out on Elm or something, it's always, I'm trying to pitch in a deal right now with Mel Gibson or, some. Yeah, and it's never like some shitty thing that they're working on. And they come around to me and they go, what do you do? And I'm like, I just hang out and do stuff. Right. Or anything. They just look at you like tisk. And I'm like, you guys are full of shit on everything you do. Anyway, it's funny, just the whole Hollywood sort of atmosphere down there. It's crazy, man.
Well, I was writing the book, obviously, I felt at times a little bit out of my depth because I don't really know Hollywood. I'm a writer. I grew up in the UK and I live now in snowy Ontario. So I'm a long way from Hollywood. And, there's a scene in the novel which takes place at the Hollywood party. And I was really nervous about it because I thought, God damn, I've never been to a Hollywood party. I don't know what a Hollywood party looks like. But then I figured, you know what? 99% of the people who read this book won't have gone to a Hollywood party. I think I'll be all right here. I think I can get away with it. So, a little bit of creative license, a little bit of imagination and, just using bits and pieces that I've picked up here and there. And I know people who have been to Hollywood parties.
Yeah. There's not much to it. It's just a really group of people who are over really narcissistic. Maybe that's the right word.
I will take your word from it. And if I ever end up at a Hollywood party, maybe I'll email you afterwards and say, "Hey, you were right."
I've had Michael Bolton looking at me across the party. It's funny when you go to see celebrities that are on the downslope of the ABC level, and and you go to a party where there'll be a bunch of them, like a Grammy Awards or something like that, and there'll be ones where no one's talking to them anymore because they're on the downslope of the D list or whatever, and they'll look at you like you ever look around a party and you always catch that same person's eye,
Right. Yeah.
and they're always like looking at you, and you're like, what? And no matter what you do, like anytime you turn your head, you're like, there's that dude looking at me again. It was Michael Bolton, and he kept looking at me like, hey man, I'm still a celebrity, man. You should probably come talk to me. And I'm like,
Right. Right.
I kept looking at him. I'm like, nah, I don't care about your music.
Yeah, that looks like Michael Bolton. I am definitely not talking to that guy.
I was like, no, we were talking to the LinkedIn guys, the
Right.
band LinkedIn. I was like,
Right.
yeah. So we're talking to the new kids on the block here. Not the new kids. I wouldn't talk to them either. But yeah, it was really funny. I did make of course, I did make a beeline for the '80s star. I forget her name. She was always in Playboy all the time. She was in the movie Scream. She had that famous run scene at the beginning of Scream, but she was wonderful. But yeah, it's always funny. You go to some. I remember I went to some and there was a guy from Parks and Recreation, and he just kept looking at me all night long, and I was like, I'm not going over there. I just don't care.
Right.
It's like, hey, I'm a celebrity over here, big sign. Anyway, it's really funny how it goes. Anything more you want to tease out of the book before we go?
You know, it's very cinematic. You know, it's an action thriller. I just like you know, with books with my readers, I really want them to have a good time. So it's kind of like a grab the popcorn and let's go. I think the novel hits the ground running, and then it just keeps going. And you know, the second half of the book is set in, you know, a small town in the Mojave Desert, and then we venture actually out into Nevada as well. And you know, that's when the heat is truly on in the desert, you know, figuratively and literally. So yeah, it's a cinematic thrill ride, and if that's your thing, then come on board and have a good time with it.
There you go. So give us your plugs one more time as we go out, so that people can find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, I'm at on Twitter, Rio_Ewers, and I'm on Instagram. I think that's Rio_Ewers as well. YOUERS.
Okay.
My surname.
Thanks for coming on, Rio. We really appreciate it, man.
Hey, no, it's great. It's been great. High energy. I love that stuff. That's fantastic.
That's what we do around. It's the coffee. So the coffee and the cocaine. I'm just kidding. I don't do coffee. I don't do cocaine either. Don't do that, folks. It's bad. Stick with coffee. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Order up his book wherever fine books are sold. Don't go in those dark alleyway bookstores. Go in the fine bookstores, because you can get shivved in those dark ones. Go to the fine bookstores and order up. Or order online. You can do that as well. You don't have to go in there anymore. You don't want to get COVID. No Second Chances, a novel. 2/22/22. I love saying that. February 22nd, 22/22. So you can order up now and get a jump start on your book club. Rio Ewers has been on the show with us. Thanks for coming on, Rio. Thanks, Monis, for tuning in. Thanks for everyone for being here. Did I thank everybody yet? That guy in the back? No, thanks. You can leave. But everyone else, you're awesome. We love you and all that good stuff. Go to youtube.com/Chris Voss, goodreads.com/Chris Voss. Hit the bell notification button on all of those. YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all those different places where the cool kids are playing. Stay safe, be good to each other, and we'll see you guys next time.